introduce our speaker, Dan Mahoney. Dan is, I don't know how many of you know, but Dan is out in the academic program and working very, very hard at it. I like to give him a hard time every so often when he comes to serve or whatever. So I present to you Dan Mahoney.
I'm going to try to avoid the mic as best as I can. If you can't hear me, just wave and I'll go back to the mic. The first 6 tables here have packets that are in front of you. And each table's got 3 or 4 packets. So if you have more than 4 people, 3 or 4 people, just if you could just share it. And it's going to have about 5 different pages, front and back. The first page is an overview of Catholic social teaching. The second piece of paper is solidarity, which is one of the 7 aspects of Catholic social teaching. There'll be a prayer, solidarity prayer. There'll be a New York Times article about immigrants. And then there'll be a final pages of bio of Father Michael Judge. He was the priest that was the fire chaplain who lost his life in the World Trade Center in 2001. And so don't worry, we're not going to read all those pieces. They're just for your, it's my launching pad, and it's where the material we'll be talking about will come from that. So for starters, this year in the lectionary is the year of Matthew. And the year of Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew is written to the Jewish community. And if I was to pick a theme for the book of Matthew, it would be that God requires mercy and not sacrifice. So what happened is Jesus is talking to the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus is talking to the religious community who are involved in all of these rituals. And he's trying to get them to realize that the purpose for the rituals and the sacrifices is to draw close to God and receive His mercy so that we can give it away. So if we're doing the religious practices and we're not receiving His mercy and we're not giving His mercy away, then the Apostle Paul talks in 1 Corinthians 13 that we're a banging gong and a clanging cymbal. So instead of drawing people to the church, we're going to chase people away. So that's what the Gospel of Matthew will be addressing. And Father Augustine and Father Fred will be, I'm sure, pontificating on that over the next 12 months. What I'd like to do is, I know it's late afternoon, and most of us, if we were at home, we'd be taking a nap.
Oh, no, the Pats are on.
Oh, the Pats are on.
They're ahead 27 to 7, I think.
Who are they playing?
They're playing Cleveland. Cincinnati.
Yeah. Any spontaneous updates on what's going on in the game is welcome. If the Pats are doing well, you yell out the numbers and you smile. If they're not, you yell out the numbers and you frown. So anyway, there's two Greek words that affect us greatly when it comes to the idea of social justice. One Greek word is liturgia, and one Greek word is polis. And both of those refer to work. Liturgia was a term for people who were blessed, who were involved in the community of work. And the church, we liked that word and we grabbed it and we used it as our liturgy. So when we get together in church and we worship and make use of the liturgy, we are doing the work of the people in connecting to God. The other Greek word that affects us is the word polis. And so the word polis was a Greek city-state, and it referred to the center and the heart of the city that involved religion and function. And so it's from that word that we get the term politics or politician. And so the purpose of that was that to be political, in the true sense of the word, was to be involved in serving the people and managing the city so that the people were taken care of. Now, in modern day era, we might argue that we get lost from that at times when it comes to politics. But the government, in the Catholic view of things, is responsible for the protection and the service of the people. So the government exists for our purposes. We don't exist for the purposes of the government. So we're going to pretend that's the liturgy wall or the liturgia wall, and we're going to pretend that that side of the room is the polis or the politics side of the room. And so I ask you this question: when a priest does a homily about, what happens is when the priest puts together his homily, he is directed by the lectionary. He just doesn't wake up on Sunday morning and say, these people need to hear this. He's actually directed by the lectionary. The lectionary chooses the verses of which the homily comes from. So let's say it's a Sunday morning and the verses that direct the homily are based on a preferential option for the poor. And the priest delivers a homily about how God has a preferential option for the poor. Is that priest being liturgical, or is that priest being political? So, anyone who believes the priest is being liturgical, line up on that side, on that wall. Anyone that believes that the priest is being political, line up on that wall. And anyone who believes that the priest is being both, stay seated. Okay. No heads from the missionary priest to our right. And so, go ahead and do that. You know what I'm saying? So if you believe it's liturgy, if you believe it's liturgical, go to this wall. If you believe it's political, go to that wall. If you believe that it's both, stay seated. And don't be distracted by the refreshment. If you end up with a refreshment jar, that's the wrong answer. Okay.
I'm going to be political.
Okay.
You just want something.
All right.
Anybody, we've got 2 votes for liturgical. We've got 3 votes for liturgical. We've got 2 votes for political. And either the rest of the people are tired, or that they believe that when a priest delivers that homily, he's being both liturgical and political. Is that correct?
That's
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody sitting want to explain that a little bit? Why you believe that? You got to be anybody want to explain why the homily is both political and liturgical?
Well, the priest is following the lectionary, doing what he's supposed to, but in his homily, it helps the people. It helps us learn more about the scripture and about everything.
Okay.
The preferential option for the poor is clearly something that has political ramifications. Like it is about the well-being of the people and whatever needs to happen in the world to support that. And of course, it's liturgy, just like you said. I mean, it's part of the homily, so it's absolutely.
I think the care of the poor is actually, in your definition, political, but liturgical is more like the things that we do in church, like the sacraments and rituals and the tradition that brings our faith to, you know, to maturity. So I think what he's, if you're talking for me, if you're preaching to me and you're saying take care of the poor, that's a call to me to take care of the poor. So I think that's good.
Okay. Anybody else?
I don't think we're supposed to separate the two. We come to the liturgy, but we are always to take what we affirm or hear in the liturgy into the marketplace. So it's always supposed to be that flow.
Okay.
Can we sit down?
It also depends on how he,
Yeah, you can sit down if you like.
it depends on how he talks about it as well. If he brought a lot of liturgical connotation to the conversation, then it is very much both. So if you bring a lot of the teachings in and explain through the liturgy why you should be, have the critical need to take out and execute through that, then it's of course both.
What if you take an offering? Offering is a liturgical practice. So,
Well, my belief is that, of course, it's not political whatsoever in its essence because it's a directive from God. So we read the Word of God. God said, take care of the poor. The problem is that our governments, as you referred to before, some choose not to do that. So suddenly when we're pointing out that it's command of God to do it, it becomes political only because we have to argue with the government that we're supposed to be doing this, and they don't want to, especially at the time of Jesus. You know, they didn't want, if you were poor, it's because your family did something wrong, something against God, and you were being punished. And Jesus changed that, and when he came and said, no, that's not true at all. In fact, you should be taking care of the poor. Even Isaiah says that, so great examples of that. So the only reason politics entered into it, or the political that you're describing, is simply because the rich and sick and powerful didn't believe that, and so we had to get into the debate, and suddenly that takes on political ramifications. That's the reason, but the intent was purely for the Word of God, which is liturgical.
I believe, as Jesus said, not only by his words, but also he has done by deeds. So it has to go hand in hand, both liturgical and political, but not in the signs of the time now, what is happening in around. But we go in the rhythm of the liturgical from the Bible. So God always showed everybody equal, but he also showed taking care of the poor. So that as a priest, not only by saying, but also we have to do it. For that only we go for offering, all that. It is because of we take care of the poor people and showing that we are all equal. That is what God who created us equally. We have to do his work, not our own work. If you go for our own work, then it becomes like a politics, what we talk about. But we go in the faith of the church, then it goes hand in hand.
The reason why I asked the question is it's not uncommon that when a priest preaches from the scriptures and delivers a homily, and it touches on something as controversial as am I going to give some of what I have to someone else in need, that a phone call will go to the chancery and there'll be a complaint that says that priest is being political. That's not
No,
uncommon.
not on me, that's other.
In the chancery, when the phone call rings to the chancery, Father Fred just says, I'm out doing a funeral. But
The chancellery says, calls Father Fred, and Father Augustine says, well done.
yeah. So the issue is that you know we can't separate them out. As Catholics, we we believe that worshiping God and caring for people is inseparable. And what's that?
They go hand in hand.
And that's why the Catholic Church has a very strong information system, for lack of a better term, about Catholic social teaching. And that's what social justice is. Catholic social teaching are the instructions of how we should flesh out social justice. Social justice meaning that out there in the social world, as Catholics, we become involved in justice. And what justice means is, justice is another word that gets a little confused. We think of that as being the court. But when we talk about justice as Catholics, we're talking about making sure that the world gets affected so that people, all people, no matter who, are given what God has rightfully ordered for them to have. And so that's the foundation of Catholic social